What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. To get today's party started off, we are going to be going on a ride on the bike. I get this question a lot, and it's confusing to me that so many of you guys are also into street bikes. A lot of people keep thinking that we got rid of the bike, but we did not. The bike is tucked away right in front of the M3. She does have a flat front tire, and I'm hoping the battery's not dead yet. I did grab a little portable air tank from Harbor Freight. That thing's full of air, so we are going to kind of do a little cleanup in the garage. As you can see, we have stuff and parts, car parts everywhere. We got to get the bike out, so we need to get the M3 out. We need to move the truck to move the M3 to move the bike. Fun. I hope it runs. Before we get started with the bike project of the day, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who supported yesterday's drop, yesterday's launch. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for the support. There may still be some things on the site, so first link down below will take you right to the Boston store. All right, boys, let's give her hell. What do you think?
Sounds pretty good.
Is it loud?
Yeah.
Louder than the M?
Way louder.
Yes. You're looking like a snack, like a fruit.
Like an Easter egg snack?
Sure, that kind. All right, let's go rip. Let's do a little rip to start the morning off.
All right.
Done ripping the bike for the day. Went out to eat. Bobby wanted some photos, so we did all that. And now we got the Duramax fired up, and we're gonna head to the shop and get some work done on the blue Evo 8. Damn, look at this low boy. Sheesh, look at that camera in the back of that thing. That's a fair amount. All right, so where are we at with this thing? We're pretty much done with the wiring job that we started yesterday. So I think we should go ahead and finish that up first, and then other odds and ends. But let's dial in this wiring. We pretty much just have to extend this one wire right here so it's kind of out of the way, and connect everything to our fusible link setup right here, and we should be good. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of a struggle in my brain right now, because when I'm looking at the other black Evo 8 that we own, it appears that the starter wire is not on any sort of fuse. It's connected straight to the battery, which is making no sense to me. I don't know why this wire right here, which runs directly to the starter, why that would not be fused whatsoever. And I'm trying to do some research online, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on a fuse. There's a 120 amp fuse on our fusible link. I think that's how it should be. I'm pretty sure our other car is just set up improperly. So we need to run in and grab some more wire terminals so we can bolt this wire on right here, which runs to our fuse box, and then this wire right here, which runs to the starter. So that guy can connect over there. Starter can connect right there. Other than that, we'll be 100% finished with our wiring. We went ahead, pulled apart the Evo 10, and I guess it's not fused whatsoever. So this wire right here runs right to the starter, and that guy is not fused whatsoever. It's literally sitting right there. That bolts on, and then this main power wire that runs to the trunk bolts on. So yeah, we had it right. We're all good to go. A little confusing. I'm not smart enough in wiring to know why you wouldn't fuse the starter, but it is what it is. All right, enough wiring. This is the 100% finished, completed look of how the bay is gonna be as far as all the wiring goes. All we have to do, grab a ring terminal for that, connect it to the fusible link, and we're done. 100% done. Starter wiring is ran, so it runs across under the frame rail. There is a motor mount that goes right there, so I'll kind of secure it to that motor mount under the frame rail and then up to the back side of this guy. The ground wire that used to be right there and then run all up through here and connect over there. Now bolts on right there and connects over here. We are 100% done and it feels amazing. I wish I would have showed you guys this before I started working on it, but factory, the power steering lines run up and over the motor mount right here. So I'm trying to relocate them underneath the motor mount. It's just one of those little tiny things I think that's gonna add a lot to this bay. But basically this guy right here that's bent, I'm trying to flatten out and I don't know if it's gonna hold. If it breaks, we will be forced to get this piece right here replaced, which this is the piece that we rattle canned anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. There is a hose shop here locally, House of Hose, that I think could fix that if we break it. But let's try to bend it down. Okay, so we got it bent. I pulled it off, made sure it didn't crack. It didn't crack at all. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. So I think we should be okay. And that looks so much better. Let's go ahead and throw on some things over here. We have the power steering reservoir. We picked up a new coolant reservoir that bolts on right here. So yeah, let's throw those two guys on. Maybe get this power steering completely tied together and we can move on to the next project. So this is where the power steering reservoir sits. And I have another special little gift for this car. Let's dig into our beautiful package of hardware. My boys over at JD Customs USA sent over a ton of goodies. This is a full titanium engine bay hardware replacement kit. So as we go along assembling this engine bay, we're gonna be constantly digging into this bag right here and grabbing some nice titanium blue hardware. Every time we add a piece of this hardware, it is just like icing on the cake. That looks so nice. The coil and plug setup with the blue hardware looks insane. Let's grab the coolant reservoir, get that guy on. Might as well throw some blue hardware on that and see how she looks. Okay, we need to make a little run to House of Hose because there's two things we need done now. Number one, I'm gonna have that fitting remade. I don't feel comfortable with how that's set up right now. It's very tight in between the motor mount and the frame. So we're gonna get that fixed. And then this right here can be completely deleted. We are gonna run this because all it is a hard pipe that runs from right there up and over to right there. So I don't know why we couldn't just have a little hard pipe made that goes from there underneath the motor mount to down there. Make life so much easier and it would keep everything nice and clean. So we're gonna do that, not today because they're closed. But yeah, this whole section over here is gonna look 1,000 times better versus OEM as soon as we get all that situated. All right, for now, I'm just gonna run through and get everything else installed that we got from JD Customs. So we have all new valve cover hardware. That's all that same blue color. We have an oil cap, we have the brake reservoir cap, and maybe some other hardware as well. So let's just run through and get every single thing installed. So we got a ton more parts installed. This stuff looks so amazing. They make these valve cover heat shields and we had DV Niemela engraved. Went ahead, added on this cam position sensor heat shield, titanium oil cap, titanium reservoir cap, all new hardware on the valve cover, got the hardware installed for the coil and plug setup. This thing's coming together. There's still quite a bit more hardware. We have everything for like the fenders, headlights, all the core support hardware. We still have to add all that when we get everything installed. But for now, let's pop over to the fuel pressure regulator. That's the next thing we can do. Let's go ahead and get everything mounted up right there. That's where we had it on the Black 8. It was a super clean setup, so I'm just gonna do the same thing there. We picked up a kit from MAP. I'll have a link down below as always. Comes with the line and all the fittings we need. This should be the regulator itself. I believe this should be the gauge, and then the fitting for the fuel rail. All right, so this is how it's gonna be set up. Fuel comes in right here, through injectors. Injectors are located at the bottom of the rail. Adapter right here comes out, goes through hose that we need to trim. That set screw right there adjusts the pressure. Fuel comes out and back into the return line. This right here is gonna run over to the intake manifold. Just a little vacuum line that we need to route later on. Let's get this guy installed. We got the bracket on, bent, drilled a little bit bigger for M6, so we can mount this bad boy right on the firewall. Well, I decided to do a little bit different location this time around. It was always impossible to adjust when it was mounted right there. So now we have, you know, I just realized our strut tower bar probably won't clear. Let's give it a shot real quick. We may have to relocate that. Okay, that's a little ironic how that worked out. A little bit of space all around it, and it kind of hides it, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot. That is the perfect location. Sick. I am stoked with that. Here's another glance at the yellow. Now that we added that shut tower bar, that's pretty much all the yellow in the whole entire bay. The more I put this thing together, the more I'm liking the yellow. I guess we'll see when it's all finished up. Okay guys, that thing is 100% wrapped up. We got that little vacuum line on. The sad part about adding all these lines and whatnot is it's kind of going to clutter up the bay, but they're required, they're needed. There's really no way around it. One thing I've been dreading is the throttle cable. So I'm gonna go ahead, find that thing. I'm not exactly sure where we put it. It's probably in this big box. Yeah, here she be. Let's figure out where this thing is gonna be routed. That's how the throttle cable ended up turning out. I'm gonna go ahead, pick this vlog back up tomorrow. I really wanna get to the point where all we have left is just the turbo kit, but we do have quite a bit of stuff apparently to powder coat that we forgot to powder coat before. So I'm gonna try to get on that tomorrow. When we do, so I'll have to rebuild our ACD pump before the ACD pump goes back on the car because we got a new one because we destroyed the old one. So, yep, I'll see you guys in the morning. Moving on to the next project of the video is going to be our new ACD pump. So we actually got this along with when we bought the 2 Evos down in California. That seller had this, so it was included in the package deal. I want to rebuild this thing before it goes back in the car. I did pick up a rebuild kit online. Looks like it's just some new bolts, a new plate, and all the seals for the pump. Now we may run into the same problem that we had with the last one, and that problem is all the hardware may be stuck. So if that's the case, I'm not gonna rebuild it. We can just put it in the car and run it, but this thing's kind of crusty and I'd rather have it be brand new. So on the original pump out of this car, these 2 long Allen heads were stuck. So I think if these things can break loose, we should be good to rebuild this thing. Let's give it a shot. Please break loose. That was easy. 1 down, 1 to go. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, now we have 2 screws. Let's see if we can get those loose. Okay, this pump's gonna be way too easy to fix or rebuild. This thing's beautiful inside. The last one we had was completely corroded. It almost looks like this thing's been rebuilt before. Either that or super low miles. So thankfully we got this entire thing torn down. You guys may have seen that the solenoid is broken, but we do have the good solenoid off of our old ACD pump, so we can just slap that onto here. We could simply just rebuild this thing, even though it didn't need to be rebuilt. Clearly this thing was in absolutely beautiful condition inside, so that was nice. But we could rebuild it and put it on, or we can do it right and sandblast it, Cerakote it, rebuild it, and put it on. So here's how she looks right now. It's not terrible, but it's not nice. Like if you come compare this to what it will look like, pretty big difference there. So I'm gonna run through, get everything cleaned up, plug all the holes, sandblast, Cerakote this piece, that piece, and that piece. Okay, so everything is nice and sandblasted. Went through, hosed it down with water. Before we throw it in the oven for the pre-bake cycle, we're gonna run through with brake cleaner and just get any sort of grease or oil that may be left in this thing out of it. The 3 parts are in the oven right now for the gassed out phase. They go 300 degrees for 1 hour straight. So 60 minutes, leave them in the oven, and then we can pull them out and get them coated. All right, my friends, parts are completely gassed out. Pulled them out of the oven about 30 minutes ago, and everything's cooled down. So we are ready to start spraying. You may be wondering why I'm not masking off like the threads, this surface where the bearing goes. Cerakote is such a thin freaking coating that you don't need to mask any of that off. The only thing I masked off, just so we didn't coat them, are these brass pipe fittings right here. I just wanted them to stay brass because that's how it is factory. Let's go ahead and get our Cerakote mixed up. We are going to be spraying satin aluminum today. That's what it looks like, H151. And the catalyst we need is an H100 series Part B catalyst, which comes with the H151 when you buy the kit. Get it mixed up and we can start spraying. So we're trying to go for 18 parts of the Cerakote to 1 part of the catalyst. These 3 pieces are fully coated. We let them sit for 15 minutes and now they are ready to go back in the oven. 1 hour at 300 degrees. These things are all cooled off, finished up, ready to throw back together. Look at how beautiful these pieces turned out. That satin aluminum Cerakote, you cannot beat it. If you're going for like a nice OEM plus look on aluminum pieces, I think that satin aluminum is definitely the way to go. Very nice, very nice. Let's throw this thing back together. For starters, these 2 brown O-rings, one's supposed to sit right there and one sits right there. Looks like they're quite a bit bigger than the factory, so I'm going to be using the factory. Much better fit. Okay, cool. All right, so we got the plate in, the gears in, the shaft in. I'll be lubing everything up with this SP3. Throwing a little bit inside of this thing. There is an O-ring underneath that plate, and then the O-ring goes right here. These 2 pins go down into those holes right there. So it's just like that. And then we grab this little stubby looking thing. That goes down in there. All right, we got this thing pretty much back together. It looks like this bearing is gonna be easier to install onto that shaft instead of putting it into this housing down here. So I'm gonna throw this bearing in the oven, get it heated up so it expands. It'll slip over that shaft and we should be good to go from there. The bearing has successfully been installed. Cool. Now we can install this whole assembly. Okay, so we have 2 pieces left of the puzzle and these pieces are gonna have to be painted. First up is this drum looking thing. I don't really know what it is, but it does say it's full of gas and you cannot get it hot. So we cannot powder coat this. So I'm going to mask it off, clean it, sandblast it, and paint it. Same with this guy here. There's like magnets inside and I don't want to destroy it. So same concept, get it all cleaned up, mask off this area right here, sandblast, rattle can. We finally have a fully rebuilt, ready to install ACD pump. This was a big stress. Ever since we destroyed the last pump, really hard to find one. But now we have this beautiful thing. So here's the pump itself and then the brackets to mount it to the car. So we need to get the pump installed onto the brackets. We can get the whole thing installed onto the Evo. And then we do have the line that runs from the pump, kind of runs underneath the frame rail. Hopefully we can get it on with everything installed in the car. But underneath, and then it connects to the transfer case. So it might be a bit of a chore to get it, but we'll figure it out. Now that we have the ACD pump all finished up, there are a few pieces that we need to powder coat while we have the shop kind of like messy a little bit. So there's probably like 4 or 5 pieces that we got to get done. That fuel rail, the hood hinges, a little power steering, line elbow, and maybe some other stuff as well. So let's get that powder coated real quick. All that is gonna go ink black, a nice shiny black. Should look pretty good. We got the pump on. It's definitely a tight fit with the fuse box and the pump and all the wiring right there, but we got it to work. Now we have to install that hard line that runs from here down the passenger side of the car over to the transfer case. So that might be kind of fun to get on. I would highly recommend not waiting till the last minute to install that line. We got it on along with scratching some paint. We had to bend the line. Thankfully we got it on though without pulling anything off. And also I'm predicting by the end of this video or maybe early tomorrow morning, I'm gonna have a black eye. I just dropped a strut tower brace on my face and it got me right there. So if it turns black, just know Bobby didn't beat me up. The strut tower bar got me good. Well, my friends, we met our goal, which was to pretty much have this thing completed except for the turbo kit. So we still have the turbo or the exhaust manifold, the entire turbocharger to go through, all the intercooler piping, the intake, the downpipe. We have to make a downpipe. We have to probably make a lower intercooler pipe. Turbo needs to be rebuilt, and then we need to figure out what we're doing with the manifold. There are a few other little things we're waiting on. For example, these clips right here. They're pretty messed up, so I ordered new ones. Those are for the shifter cables. As soon as those come in, we can get the shifter cables completed. Thermostat we're waiting on, and what else? A few other little things, nothing crazy though. We need to figure out what the heck we are doing with this exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna set it up on the car, kind of get a rough idea of how it's gonna look. The exhaust manifold and the turbo on this car are like literally dead front center. It's what everyone's gonna look at. It's what we're gonna look at. So I want to do it right, and I want to do them the proper color because I don't want to redo them. So that is how the manifold sits. It's still a bottom mount turbo. We are not doing a forward facing on this car. As of right now, we could easily just buy a new manifold and rebuild some other stuff and go to a forward facing. But for now, I think I'm really gonna like how this is gonna be set up. So the turbo still bolts underneath like it would factory. It is a Precision 6266. So basically what we need to figure out is what we're doing with the manifold. I don't wanna leave it like this. It's not terrible looking, but it's a little bit crusty. So we really have two options, I think. Option number one, we could Cerakote it black, which I don't know. I feel like that'd be a lot of black going on in the bay. It would look really nice, but that'd be so much black going on. Or option number two is to spend many hours and completely polish the manifold. And then when we run this car, it's gonna get heat treated. So it's gonna have like a blued finish to it, especially like all the welds and right where it comes off the head. So that whole flange would probably get fairly decently blued, and I think it would look really nice. But that is a ton of work. That'd probably be like a whole day, maybe even more in itself. So I don't know, drop a comment down below, guys. What do you think? A black manifold where it would pretty much blend in with the rest of the engine bay, or a polished / blued manifold to where it would kind of flow better with the intake manifold being silver, and it'd really stand out, being that it's literally like the first thing you see when you open the hood is gonna be the manifold. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. This has been a really hard decision. I've been thinking about it for, I feel like ever since we started this build as to what exactly we want to do. But it's time we figure it out. So let me know in the comment section below. Everything that we used in this video, all of the JD Customs products, I will have linked down below with my 10% off discount code. The Cerakote I'll link down below, the powder coat I'll link down below, the guns for both, fuel pressure regulator. We installed a lot of stuff today. So everything we did, link down below. Once again, my friends, thank you for the support on the latest VIII launch. Every order that is placed throughout the weekend, so by Sunday at midnight, is going out Monday morning. There's still some stuff on the site. First link down below, go check it out if there's anything you want. We will get it shipped out Monday. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Peace out. I'll see you boys tomorrow.